it's very important you really do it right, because the better your figure eight, the better you play. Like I always say, you are what you ate. So the better your figure eight, the better your game is going to be, the better it's going to be on your body, the more power, the more effortlessness, and the more fun you're going to have. So let me show you how to do it right. Here's how you do the figure eight. It's always best, I think, to use the swivels. But even if you don't have them, you can do this same exercise. Put your elbows, pin them to your sides, to your ribs right here, and make a pointer with your index finger and your thumb. And first, all I want you to do is go back and forth and turn your fingers to the side. All right, we're halfway there. Keep your balance. It's very important while you do the figure eight to keep your vertical axis true. You see my head? It doesn't move. But the rest of my body's moving everywhere. See, to and fro. So you take your fingers and go back and forth. Step two. Now you take your fingers, and as you turn them, as you swing them to the right, and remember, keep your elbows pinned here, you rise up around the corner like an infinity sign, rise up. So now your fingers are leading the stroke, right? They're leading your figure eight. That's how you get started, but that's not really the figure eight, right? It looks a lot different than my figure eight you're going to see here in a minute. So now my fingers have gotten me into this nice geometric form of the infinity sign. Now, what you want to feel, ideally, is now let your hips, see now how I turn my feet first, and let your hips drag your fingers into that figure eight. Because that's the way you want to do it. You really don't want to move from your hands. You want to eventually feel your feet and your hips pulling this figure eight. Now, things you got to watch out for. And you noticed once I got it, I let my fingers leave my side. So the reason I like you to keep it on your side in the beginning is because it forces your hips and your body to move. Once you get the hips pulling the arms, you can widen it out. Things to remember are, number one, you want to keep your head right in the center, right? You don't want to move with the arms. A lot of people will do this. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your vertical axis true and keep your head right in the center. You want to bend your knees slightly, because if my legs are straight, I can't use my hips, right? I can't really use them. So with my knees slightly bent, see, I can turn my hips very easily. And notice how everything's making a figure eight. Look at my knees. They're doing their own little figure eight too. My hips, you see how one hip rises? So it's not just turning. One rises and pulls at the same time, and then the other continues and rises. So you want to make sure you're doing all these figure eights with your arms, with your hips, with your knees. Everything's moving in a beautiful, continuous, slow figure eight. Don't try to rush this. This is a slow move and it's continuous. Now, once you feel your figure eight like this, you can open your hands and you see how they flow nicely. And now you're really moving in a perfect figure eight. And so that's really how you do this figure eight. You start off slow, pinning your hands to your elbows, to your sides, to your ribs. Start with your hand drawing as if there's a piece of paper out here. Draw that sideways figure eight or that infinity sign, and eventually feel your hips doing the work, pulling you into this beautiful figure eight. And once you have that, you will really enjoy moving and playing and everything else in your life. You'll just enjoy being